we go, like the Joker. I was about to get very excited.
Oh, like Heath Ledger's Joker?
Yeah.
Oh. No, I'm not that cool. I'm just cool enough to be on the Tuesday show. Welcome to the Tuesday show, everybody. It's me, Mr. Cow. Here's Mrs. Cammy Huddlestone.
Hi.
We're here to talk about video games, movies, perhaps, and heck, maybe even a little bit of other thing, maybe. However, we're gonna start off with video games because there's been a rumor going about. It comes from a job posting for the studio working on Bioshock 4. Have you heard anything about this, Ms. Huddlestone?
I have not. I've not been on the internet very much recently, so.
That's probably a good thing because it's been a mess.
Yeah.
it's been a bit of
I'm
a
gonna
mess.
trust you to give me like the good news.
So I don't know much about the studio that's working on the new Bioshock game because it's not the original team. It's not the original studio. It's gonna be a whole new thing. It probably just Bioshock 4 is not what they're gonna get. It's gonna have some dumb subtitle.
Yeah.
I remember back when Bioshock Infinite came out, they wanted to. The rumor went around that it was gonna be pronounced Infinite. Do you remember that at all?
Oh.
That was a thing. What my brother was talking about it. I wonder if it was just some tiny niche thing. My oldest brother, because he loves those games. But he's like, they're gonna call it Infinite. That ruins the game, and it was like a huge deal for like a week. Because Bioshock, for whatever reason, its fans very dedicated, which makes sense. Yeah. They're fantastic.
Yeah, they're great games.
I love it. The second one. The first and third
the second one.
That's fair. The first and Infinite are so fantastic. I love them so much. But we're getting another one. God only knows when that's coming. Probably like 3 or 4 years. However, a rumor has surfaced after a job posting that this game is looking for a person that can help design main quests, in an open world environment. Ooh is correct.
Ooh, indeed.
Except the main quest, because, first-person games are one thing. My favorite first-person games tend to be the more linear games, like Bioshock, where it's like you can explore the air, or like Dishonored, which I played Bioshock and Dishonored right around the same time, so they're up there for my favorites, for sure. Dishonored probably at the top of the list. But there's something about having that linear setting that, like, when it's really well designed, like Arcane Studios does, that's what sucks you in. But if it's an open world and you're like walking through a field and you're in first person mode, you're like, all right.
Yeah, it's not the same.
It's not quite the same.
It depends on how open world they mean, I guess.
That's the question too, because some people think
Infinite is kind of open world in that you can go back and forth, and it's like an area that you can like to and fro from. It's not like you're here and then you're here and you can never go back there.
Right.
So I guess it depends on how they're defining open world.
That's fair. You never know. Hopefully, I don't know which one I would prefer though, because while I understand that it's not the same team working on it, it's going to be a different studio. I would be completely down if they wanted to go open world with it and tell the story that way. Fine by me. I think, especially with a new team, you kind of got to make that game your own at that point. But if you have confidence in your abilities to the point where you're like, we can do like that same sort of exploration, kept in, like you can't just go out in any direction, pick up side quests, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like that is, if you can do whichever one you prefer, I guess is the best way to put it. But you just have to trust in your abilities, I guess is the best way to say it for game developers.
Don't pull a CD Projekt Red and think bigger is better and we have to do. If you're not up to that or you don't think it would work for your game, don't do it. Do more linear, do smaller but denser.
That's right, which is definitely what Cyberpunk should have been, because that is one of the worst open world games I have played in a while. And one of the worst first person games too. I think it would have benefited from like really, people wouldn't have exploded because they're like, it's the new open world experience from the people who brought you The Witcher 3. Maybe it wouldn't have exploded as much as it did, But good God, would that have been better if they could just focus on an area? Because moving around in that world is so
It's not
lame.
great.
It's just so like I think that just comes down to the core of how they designed it. It was just like in GTA 5, you have these crazy fast cars. You can get planes, you can get helicopters, you can go just about anywhere, do anything, mess around, kill everybody. And then there's like actual you got the police coming after you. Everything's balanced out perfectly in that game. Cyberpunk just didn't do any of the balancing. They were like, people like the cars. Let's make some cool cars and let's put that in. Motorcycles are neat. Let's put that in. The motorcycles control better than the cars,
They do.
but they
They're still
also
not
make the frame
perfect.
drop. Yeah, it's like, which one do you want? Like, pick your poison at that point.
Yeah. Not every game has to be open world, I think is what we're trying to say.
That's right. But if you can pull it off with Bioshock, I think it'll be
Yeah.
interesting
If you can pull
because
it off, it's amazing, but you don't have to.
you really don't have to.
Yeah.
Listen here, studio, that name I already forgot. Knock it off. Uh-oh. Get ready for this, everybody. Watch this. Actually, fuck it. We'll figure it out later. I accidentally
Okay.
left the sidebar up for our names and whatnot. So now that'll be cropped out of the video, which means our faces will be even bigger and brighter on the screen when
That's
I'm editing
fine.
this later. So this is a little
See our
tasty treat for you.
big, beautiful faces.
Our big, beautiful faces. My light bulb went out in my room. Speaking of
That's
big,
not good.
beautiful. And that's why I'm relying on just the new lights I got.
It's a good job we got the new lights.
I know, if I didn't, it would literally just be this little lamp. It's like turning on the sun.
You'd have had to have your phone torch and just sort of
Oh,
hold
that'd be
it
great.
the
I
whole
want that
time.
set up. Buy a bunch of... How much do you think that would cost? If you bought a bunch of old, like, iPhones. Had them hooked up in chargers.
I don't know, probably you'd probably be all right.
Yeah,
Wouldn't
you
be
build, like,
too
big
bad.
floodlights. I'd be down for
Do it.
that.
Do it.
I'd absolutely do that. Because people can't be using that for stuff. How many people are using, like, an iPhone 3
No one.
at this point? I use an iPhone 8 right now, which is
Yeah, I
already kind of
don't use an
old.
iPhone, so
You don't use an iPhone?
I use Samsung.
Okay. I just switched to iPhone like 2 months ago, I think.
I was iPhone for a really long time and then I switched. Interesting conversation.
Well, great. I had yeah, I was the same way but the opposite. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's fine. I like the little thumbprint thing. I finally got a screensaver. It's Freddy Freaker's beautiful face. He looks great. And that's all well and good. But Bioshock 4, we'll wait and see. They're probably going to call it something stupid like Bioshock Redemption or Bioshock Rebellion or
The thing is,
Bioshock Guerrilla.
where would the city be?
Well, yeah, they already
Because
did the
you've had
sky and the
underwater.
sea.
Can you imagine if it's just a normal city?
Yeah,
Sky, sea, ground,
that's really all they have left, isn't it? Maybe they could do like a big mountain range
space.
or space. Yeah.
Or I suppose under the ground. Like not under the water, but under the ground
Oh, like a
somehow.
City of Ember type thing?
Yeah.
Okay. That might be neat. I don't know. We'll see if maybe what they'll do is instead of doing something original, they'll do the same thing again and then it's like except this time it's an open world. You can go between the Sky City and the Sea City or the CT as we like to call it. Rapture and what's the upper one called again?
Columbia.
Columbia. Rapture in Columbia.
Yeah.
What a lovely bunch of games. Now I'm just getting nostalgic to want to play. I had an Xbox 360 as a wee boy, and my brother, my oldest brother Joe, had downloaded a bunch of games, and then the disc tray on that Xbox broke. So I just kind of took that Xbox because no one wanted to play on it. I was like, okay. And I had all these games downloaded on it. That was the first time I ever played Skyrim, the first time I ever played Bioshock, and the first time I ever played Dishonored.
Nice.
So 3 pretty good candidates right
Yeah.
there for video. It also had. Do you remember the movie Real Steel with Hugh Jackman?
No.
It's like it's a movie I really liked as a kid, where it's like boxing robots.
Okay.
There is a video game of it that I had downloaded myself. I got like a free demo. It's god awful. It's like it's one of those tie-in, like, 'cause you know when you're a kid and you're like, I wish they'd make a game of this. Like,
Yeah.
this would be like Harry Potter fans, like, why is there no good Harry Potter game? Why is the PS1 one not as good as I remember it being? Which I almost bought, by the way. I haven't even seen Harry Potter, and I almost bought that PlayStation 1 game the
No.
other day. It was.
Oh, go on.
No, it's okay. I'm rambling.
I was just gonna say the only good sort of like movie tie-in games are the Lego ones.
Oh, yeah. In fact, I just bought those for the GameCube again.
Nice.
Those have been good. Me and my brother just beat the first one the other night. Now we just have to get through the second. And then we have
Yes.
that new one coming out, the Skywalker Saga.
Yeah, it's
With
been delayed though, hasn't it?
I think so, yeah. Everything's getting delayed. Oddworld, Soulstorm
Deathloop.
just came out. Deathloop got delayed, but Oddworld
Delayed.
Soulstorm just came out, and apparently it's buggy as shit. It's crazy.
Yeah, that sucks.
So now it's like, okay, what point are we at? Because games are getting bigger and more complicated and better looking. Like, are we getting to the point where it's just like, is Cyberpunk actually like an avant-garde thing where they're like, this is what the future actually will be like? It will be glitchy, and it will
Oh, I
take a
hope
long
not.
time to get what you want. But once it's there, you'll probably have forgotten and not care about it anymore.
I'm trying to think. I think the only two studios that I'm gonna say this and then like in a few years' time it's not gonna be relevant anymore. I think the only two studios I can think that constantly come out with games that are not buggy are Santa Monica and Naughty Dog.
And Rockstar. Rockstar's pretty good about it.
Yeah, okay, yeah, Rockstar and Rocksteady
And Arcane.
and Arcane. Never mind, there's quite a few
There's a
of them.
few.
We're all
Arcane I've
just
never had any
jaded
problems
by
with.
pessimism.
Although I guess we'll see. Arcane is doing Deathloop, and they took some extra time, so maybe that one will be a bit buggy. But I had no problems on the launches for Dishonored 2, or I think I played Prey fairly early on, like only like a week into it, which I'm not super... I like playing my games with a controller,
Yeah.
except I learned a valuable lesson, because I was like, what if I could just use my keyboard and be like, because people give me shit when I'm playing Apex. They're like, oh, you're using a controller? It's like, yeah. I'm like, I'm not here to get into the professional league. I just want to sit back and enjoy some Apex real quick with a controller. That's how I grew up. That's how I want it. But I was using my keyboard, and I was like, what's Kingdom Hearts like with the keyboard? Because I've been playing
Oh
through
my
Kingdom
God.
Hearts. It's way better.
Really?
It's loads, because the camera in that first Kingdom Hearts game is a little bit iffy. You got to turn up the sensitivity. But if you have a mouse and you're like moving around, like, it works super well. And the combat's
Okay.
really basic, and it's all about navigating that little menu. So like, I was surprised at how well that worked. I'm having a good time with that one. Although I'm switching back and forth now, because I also do just want to sit back with a controller, eat pizza.
It's more chill, I think, controllers.
Yeah. I'm going to get my setup here soon, because I've always had a USB plug-in for my controllers. Gonna get me a little wireless one.
Woohoo.
Then I can sit on my bed and play video games. And then
Nice.
eventually I'll sit in my neighbor's house and play video games until eventually we reach the point where I can be in another state playing video games at home, which is what Microsoft really wants. Deep down inside, that's what they want.
They want you to play games everywhere.
Everywhere. Play our games. Now for a brief intermission. So, Miss Huddlestone, have you heard? have you have you heard of the Days Gone drama?
Again, no, I've been
Oh,
off the internet.
well, it's like really simple. Apparently, that
Okay.
studio pitched a sequel,
Mm-hmm.
and it got rejected.
That's sad. I've heard good things about Days Gone.
Too bad, Days Gone. I completely forget the guy. I think Jason Schreier was reporting on it, and Jason Schreier is probably like
Probably. He reports on everything.
just about everything. He's like the top #1 gaming journalist in my mind. And I read his book, Blood, Sweat, and Pixels, which is awesome. You should read that thing.
I thought you didn't read.
Well, I listen to audiobooks.
Okay.
I don't really read, but I listen to audiobooks. So I
Right.
listened to his book, and it was awesome. With our sponsor, just kidding, we don't have them as a sponsor, so we're not even going to say their name. But you know
No,
the one.
please,
Go
please do.
go get it there and sponsor us, and maybe we'll say your name. Anyways,
Give us the money.
it looks like Days Gone 2 isn't happening, and Days Gone to me, because I've never played it,
No, neither
but
have
it
I.
was like shockingly obvious to me that that one game, right as it was announced, was not on par, like fan base wise, to something like The Last of Us or God of War or Horizon Zero Dawn even.
Yeah,
I thought it was just like, oh, that's the other PlayStation exclusive.
yeah,
And I thought maybe it would keep rolling out because that's what they do. But the fact that they got canceled kind of shows that, because Sony's in a rough spot. As much as people want to say, oh, well, Sony has a lot of good stuff going for them, they're having to compete with an enormous company called Microsoft. And Game Pass is just strides ahead of
yeah.
anything PlayStation has to offer in that area. And apparently they're working on something. But if you're PlayStation, the thing that sells your consoles is those big ticket games that take that long time to develop. If you put them on that free service,
It's just not. What's the point in having a PlayStation?
yeah, that can't be that can't get
It's
it
not
done.
good.
Like, especially for people that own the PlayStation, if you have all that value there for those games, where it's like $15 a month, you get to play The Last of Us, Last of Us Part 2, God of War Ragnarok, like all their big ticket games. If they did that, I think they'd be taking massive losses. They'd have to charge a pretty hefty price per month
Mm.
for their PS Pass, as I hope it's not called, because that's a stupid name. Would you get PlayStation Pass?
No, I would not. I already have a PlayStation and PlayStation Plus. Shock
Whoa.
horror.
Yeah, PlayStation Plus might give you 3 free games a month. Microsoft gives you thousands.
I have Microsoft Game Pass as well.
There you go. See that, America? We've got it all squared away. So we'll see what Sony does. Days Gone or no Days Gone 2, I don't really care. I just hope they get to do something fun. That did not seem like a project that... It was another zombie game, except this time he had a motorcycle and a beard. There's a lot of cool stuff in that game from what I saw. Never played it. Never had enough interest in it. Hope for
I
their next
will
games.
play it.
You will play it.
I've got it, and I do want to play it. It's just a case of getting around to it. Because I've heard once you're actually in it, it's like a really great game and really is something special. I think
Okay.
marketing let that down a lot.
Yeah,
It
they
was
kind of
just
marketed it
another
as-
zombie
yeah.
game.
And when you already have, speaking of, you have 2 zombie franchises, Sony. Which one are people gonna pick? Come on,
Which one of
Sony.
them?
The Last
Last
of
of
Us. Would you rather
Oh, you
pick The
mean two,
Last of
including Days
Us?
Gone?
Yeah, or Days Gone?
Yeah,
Which
you're
one
gonna
are
play
you
The
gonna
Last
want
of
to play? You're gonna want to play The Last of
Us.
Us.
Yes,
You're gonna
at
want to
least The
play.
Last of Us 1.
And apparently, Naughty Dog apparently is
Maybe
having
not
some
2.
troubles as well. Now, these are all gaming rumors, but they all sprouted up at once. I don't know if someone went on a dig for gaming rumors or if it's all made up. But apparently, like Naughty Dog's like freaking out, or that's probably the wrong term for it. They're concerned with the multiple projects they're taking on.
Mm.
Is the most like basic way to. They have like multiple games in pre-production, I think. And I think Sony is starting to panic, maybe, a little bit. This is all speculation.
Yeah.
But Naughty Dog has always struck me as a Rockstar type company, where they pick a game, they focus on it, they perfect
Yeah.
it, they release it, move on to the next one after a little break. That's a fine structure for a studio. In fact, that's probably the best structure for a studio. For a studio
Agreed.
like Naughty Dog, at least. I won't speak for all gaming studios. But apparently, like, I think Sony's pushing them to like bring on other people to help, because there's that Last of Us remake that's happening as well.
Which is so unnecessary.
It seems unnecessary, but at the same time, if you're going to have the trilogy of games, because there have been people complaining about them doing a remake because it's already so good, but chances are the Last of Us trilogy will be completed and finished on the PlayStation 5. So it'd be really nice to have 3 fantastic looking games that you can play all in a row if you've never been a part of that before.
Yeah, but I mean, you can play The Last of Us remastered through backwards compatibility already, can't you?
You can, but that's like, well, I think Last of Us, the first Last of Us was like an early PlayStation 4 game, right? Because it was a
Now it's
late
late
place.
PlayStation 3.
Right, so it's late PlayStation 3, then carried over to PlayStation
Oh,
4.
right, I get what you mean. Yeah, and then it was remade like a year after it initially came out or something.
Right, I think that for people complaining that it could get like it already got remastered. I think that them taking it and then like making it look on par with The Last of Us Part 2, I see no problem with that. People, as much as people would be like, that's so stupid, people will buy it. Those same people that call it
Oh
stupid.
yeah.
Because we want to see how pretty it is. Like, we want to see
Yeah,
the new
that's me.
animations. Like,
I'm like
it's.
thinking about it. I'm like, yeah, yeah, I would do that. Okay, I think it's one of these things where if you were to say, okay, you can either have The Last of Us remastered for the PlayStation 5 or a brand new IP that's totally amazing, people are going to go for the new IP. But if the option is like, hey, we're just doing this and giving it to you, it's better graphics. Joel's alive in this one. Here you go.
He's not dead.
He's not dead. You're gonna get it, aren't you?
Probably, and on
It's
top
one
of
of these
that,
things.
it's I think what Sony's trying to do to Naughty Dog, or maybe what Naughty Dog's trying to do to Naughty Dog, is turn themselves into a pseudo Bethesda, a much lighter one, where they will have lower like different studios attached
Yeah.
that will I believe, because chances are Naughty Dog's not going to remake The Last of Us. Chances are another studio is going to remake The Last of Us while Naughty Dog works on the next big thing that they have to get done. So if Naughty Dog does come out and say like, oh no, we're doing the Last of Us remake, it's gonna take a year, it's gonna take 2 years, whatever. It's very very simple. It's gonna be no problem whatsoever. Whatever they say, like a year, 2 years. If they put all their focus into that, which it sounds like is a possibility because they have like 3 games in pre-production right now. They said they had a good few, and I was like, that sounds like 3. Jolly England, what the fuck was that?
It was someone beeping outside.
Someone beeping. Is that what you call
Someone.
it? Do you call the that a beeper in a car?
No, I'd call it a. I'm trying to think what I'd call it. A horn,
Oh, that's what we'd call it too.
I think.
It's
But
not.
the sound it makes, I would call a beep. Maybe that's just me. I don't know.
I don't know. Britain's crazy. Hey, speaking of Britain, we'll get off video games for a second because a lot of this is speculation. But someone died over there recently.
Yeah, someone did.
What was his
Uh,
name?
his name was Prince Philip.
Oh,
Yeah, it's very sad. I mean, because obviously we have like a group chat, and obviously for me it was the middle of the day. For you guys, it was like early hours of the morning. So I'm pretty sure it was when Luke like first woke up. He was like, "What's it like over there?" I was like, "It's really sad.
well, okay. I get that it's
Someone's
like, oh,
died."
we lost Prince Philip, but the man was 100 years old.
Yeah, he was 2 months off his 100th birthday, and I think the general opinion is like we knew this was coming. He's been in and out of hospital for years. He's an old man. He looked old.
Well,
So I
like a
think
70-year-old man's like an old man. A
yeah, he's
100
okay.
year old
He's
man.
he was really old.
He
So it
was
wasn't like it
incredibly
was a
old.
surprise. But it's just it's one of these things. It's like for most of the population of the UK, we grew up with Prince Philip. Like we have always known him. We've always seen him on the TV. We've always seen him at events. And it's just one of these things where it's like, oh, this person isn't around anymore. That's really sad. And it's sad that the Queen's lost her husband of 73 years, and
Jesus. That's a long time.
children have just lost their dad, and grandchildren, and like I don't know,
Probably
you can say
great
what you want.
grandchildren too, right? Because he's
Yeah,
100.
yeah. I mean, you can say what you want about the royal family if you believe in the monarchy or not, but I still think like this is a person that's died. That is a very sad thing. It's tragic and horrible. I mean,
I
it's not
wouldn't. Okay,
okay. It's
it's
not
bad, but it's
tragic.
not tragic. This is
It's not.
like.
I'm saying,
No,
I'm
I
saying
completely understand
tragic
what you're saying. I'm just
as
giving you a
like
hard
a
time because Americans. This is what it's
yeah.
like in
You are.
America,
You're
where it's
right
like,
down.
and we're like, oh, you're stupid. Oh, your king died. Oh, he's 100 years old. That's not tragic. And then like a country singer will die, or the singer for
And
Fountains
everyone
of Wayne. Yeah,
cries.
like everyone's like, this cannot be happening to us. How is this happening
Yeah.
to us?
It's
It
not tragic in the sense of this is a young person who has lost their life, but it is tragic in the sense of people have lost their dad and a woman's lost her husband and people have lost their granddad and people there's a lot of people who looked up to Prince Philip. There's the Duke of Edinburgh awards scheme over here that's like a big deal, which is a big deal for a lot of kids, and suddenly like this guy that started all of this isn't around anymore. It's a very strange feeling. It's hard to explain, and I think for a lot of people as well, it brings up memories of like your own people who meant a lot to you that have died.
This, especially when it's someone
Yeah,
that, as much as I've joked about him being an ancient human being at
he
100
was
years old,
ancient.
it's
He was.
like that is 100 year. Like let's just even this simplify it down to 80 years, possibly that people knew about him and were like paying attention to him.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that
Yeah.
covers a lot of ground of people that'll like hear
Yeah.
about that and be like, ah, dang it, that's too bad.
Yeah. For like 80 years, he's been part of everybody's life, and you're used to seeing him on the TV, and you're used to hearing his name,
Seeing the
and
memes of him
it's
in the car.
yeah, and it's one of these things where it's like I'm trying to think of like a comparison, but like someone who you've always seen on telly and who's always been in your life, like not because you knew them or you were friends with them or whatever, but someone who was always just there,
You
and
know
then
what probably
they're
comes
suddenly
closest
not.
over here, which is not it's not I don't even think it's remotely the same thing, but Alex Trebek was probably the closest we got over here. Do you know who Alex Trebek is?
I've heard his name,
He's
but
he was the Jeopardy guy.
oh yeah,
He's the host
yeah,
of Jeopardy and he passed away. That's
or
probably cuz that guy was a constant like throughout my life.
like Robin Williams.
Robin Williams too, and Robin Williams was like,
That was another big deal.
well,
Like
plus
someone
he
who's there all the time and you're used to seeing on telly and you're used to laughing at his jokes or whatever. Because Prince Philip was a funny guy and people laughed with him and at him and yeah, in all of his service and everything. But it's like that same thing. If someone you're used to seeing their work, you're used to seeing them on telly, it, it was just one of these things where you just think, oh, that's the royal family. That's you have the Queen and Philip, and then and now it's not that anymore. You know?
right, yeah, so you did which
Oh,
I was like,
well, I can
oh.
go through the whole British family, but
That's
you
fair. There's a lot of them. But yeah,
there's a lot of them. You're gonna get confused.
that makes sense. And that's what it's been like over here for the most part. Because I've been excited for this podcast to ask you about that because I've also been asking some other people over here in America
Mm.
about it. They do not care whatsoever. I have
I
people
think,
that didn't know he died, people who didn't know who he was.
yeah. I mean, over here, I'd say, generally speaking, there's a divide, a, especially a generational divide between people who find the royal family very important and a big part of our nation's identity and all of that. And then there's also a lot of people who think it's a big waste of money and we don't need them and what do they actually do? And I can see both sides. I personally like the royal family and I like the fact that we have one and the history and all of that. But I think generally speaking, I mean everyone knew about it straight away. It was like all on the radio, like every radio channel, every TV channel immediately stopped what they were doing and said the news. And then on the all of the main channels, it was just that was it for a whole 24-hour period. It was coverage of, and people were leaving flowers outside of the palaces, and um, like it wasn't it was nowhere near to the extent of when Diana died, but it but it's kind of difficult to tell whether it wasn't that big because we're still in lockdown.
Oh yeah, that too.
So that plays a big part in it. Like the funeral would have been with 800 people. Now it's down to 30. Legally, you cannot have more than 30 people at a funeral now.
Oh dang.
I mean, you can't visit a family member in hospital unless they're on their deathbed. And a lot of people were pretty pissed when Charles went to see Philip. So Charles is next in line to the throne, Philip's son. A lot of people were pissed because he went to see Philip in hospital, and they were saying, oh, it's one rule for the royals and one rule for everyone else. Whereas now, looking back, we kind of know.
Yeah, now it's kind of like, oh, okay, so.
He was there, and then he went to St Bart's, which is the oldest hospital in England, and like the one from Sherlock, if you know Sherlock.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He went there and he had an operation on his heart, and then he left hospital, and I think people were sort of thinking, we sort of knew that time is limited.
A 100-year-old heart can't pump as good as like.
Yeah.
Unless they're putting a new one in there, that heart operation is like a tiny time saver.
Yeah. And so people sort of knew, and I think now the impression that we've all got was he was going home to die, really. And that's really fucking sad. And I think whoever you are, like I said, whether you are a royalist or not, I think everyone should appreciate the fact that like a man who fought in the war, who has, been married to a woman for 73 years and done more charity work than anyone can possibly imagine, has died, and that's shit.
Would you say it's a bloody shame?
I would say it is a bloody shame.
There you go. Britain. Well, sweet. I never even thought about it from that, because we had nothing like that over here. So it's really interesting to hear you say it. And I apologize for because of course I want to poke fun at it a little bit.
That's the reaction. And I know that a lot of people it's like today they announced that the BBC we have a thing called Ofcom over here, which is like a regulatory body on TV and on the media. So you can give complaints to Ofcom, and they will then get involved if they have a good enough number of complaints. And they got a record number of complaints. Over 100,000 people complained to the BBC because their coverage was constant over 24 hours. How sad do you have to be to complain that the BBC really got on my nerves? Really got on my nerves. Because, okay, yeah, even if you're not a big part of the royal family, even if you think, okay, news has been on for 12 hours now, we've had enough.
Oh, it just clicked in my head what they were doing. I was like, wait, they were complaining. And then I realized, they're complaining that they're covering it?
They were complaining that the coverage was
What else happens in your country? Nothing.
Nothing else
You're all
happens.
stuck inside. Like a speeding ticket at this point is breaking news. Let them be sad for a little bit.
Let people be sad. Let them grieve. Let them report on the news. It's a massive historic event, whether you are a royalist or not. How sad do you have to be to ring up and say, I'm really annoyed that the BBC is covering blah, blah, blah. The BBC have a remit. If you don't know, if you haven't looked into it, the BBC have a manifesto that they have to follow, because they are paid for by the UK. It's taxpayers' money that goes into funding the BBC. So they have a certain amount of things that they have to fulfill, and reporting on such a historic death comes under that. So they had to via the manifesto. And believe it or not, living in the 21st century, we have YouTube, we have Netflix, we have Disney Plus, we have Amazon Prime, we have Spotify. You can turn off the TV.
There are thousands of things to do.
The coverage.
You could have been watching the Tuesday show.
It
sounded like a gong. Like that was our little sound effect.
That was my wire hitting.
Wait, let's do it at the same time.
Arm.
Wait.
I don't think I did it. Because for whatever reason, I decided to shake my head rather than moving the wire. I thought,
You're dodging the sound waves. Whoa.
yeah.
Science!
So yeah, that's my little rant as an English person on the death of Prince Philip. His funeral is on Saturday. Yeah, I mean, there's loads of news surrounding it because like Harry's come back, and after the interview with Harry, that makes things awkward and all this, that, and the other. But
we'll see how it plays out, and who is crowned the new king of England.
it's not a competition.
Oh, it is. It's like a reality show.
It's gonna be Charles.
20 blokes go in, only one comes out king, then the rest 19th of them have to go home.
We don't have a choice in the matter.
But in America, we do. Democracy.
Yeah, kind of.
Well, Cammy, to do a stark change in subjects, I signed up for PETA's newsletter. And they sent me a nice little, well, let's start with the first page they give you right here. Because Paul McCartney's in this thing. I didn't know Paul McCartney was part of PETA.
Yeah, his wife runs a massive meat substitute business.
Oh, I thought you were going to say his wife's a pig.
No.
I'm sure she's very kind. Speaking of which, Paul McCartney, clock's got to be ticking too. Anyways, PETA. I was thinking about that the other day too. I was like, how many Beatles are left? Like, Paul McCartney, he can only do so many more SNL shows before it's
the
like...
number of people care about? One. I don't know how many are actually alive.
I know Ringo... I don't know if Ringo's still alive. The other two are dead. John Lennon and the guy whose name I can never remember, but he's also my favorite.
I think Ringo's alive. I think.
I'd like to think Ringo outlives all of them, but I'm not 100% sure.
I wouldn't. I reckon Paul McCartney's immortal.
I think so too.
Just a spiritual being. He just floats around. He doesn't need to walk. He can just...
I could float around like a little bird. All you need is bird. Anyways, I am not bacon, is what it says on it. I'm a living being, just like you, from PETA. And then if we pop this sucker open, this is the PETA Vegan Starter Kit.
All right.
That right there looks fucking gross. I don't know what that would be to justify, for those just listening to the podcast. It's green beans and potatoes. Very good. Then what it looks like is cranberry on top of fake meat. And the meat is like, it could be, like, that could be beef, probably. Is it
trying to be steak? Is that what it's trying to look like?
I think maybe it looks like fat pork chops. But the thing I'm
having pork chops for tea.
Oh, very nice. I have pork chops also.
Speaking of PETA and being vegan.
I might do
pork chops. And I have chicken nuggets for lunch.
Well, there you go. I have a pizza behind me right now as we speak.
Is it vegan? No, it's not vegan. It's got cheese on it.
It's got cheese, bacon, pepper. It's the pizza it's the same order of pizza I got for our ordering a pizza episode of the Tuesday show.
It's actually got bacon on it.
But it's got the bacon on it. It's cooked correctly, and it got here in a normal amount of time. If you haven't seen that episode,
oh my god, it's the best one we've ever done.
It's the best one.
It's the best thing I've ever created.
It's top tier. And it took like hours to render for some reason. It did not want to like come together as a video.
It's so beautiful.
It was incredible. It might be the best thing we've ever done. But this PETA manual, it doesn't really tell you what the meat substitute is. It just tells you, like, at least maybe I'm missing it. Let's see, apple and almond cheesecake, walnut dusted fettuccine with caramelized vegetables. I want, like, the substituted meat stuff. Because, fuck all if I'm gonna... Okay, sage seared tempeh with red wine cranberry sauce. Okay, I was right about the cranberry.
Yeah.
Now, what the fuck is tempeh?
Let me Google it.
Google what tempeh is, and I will keep reading.
How are you spelling that?
Tempeh.
Tempeh. Oh, it's a soy product. Because of course it is.
Of course.
What's the difference between tofu and tempeh?
Ugh.
Tempeh is chewy and bears a nutty, earthy taste, while tofu is more natural and tends to absorb the flavours of the food it's cooked with. So a nutty soy chunk.
Sounds fucking gross. When I meat, it's like tender and juicy. You season it right. It can be a little spicy. It's just delicious. But they're like, it tastes like earth, like earthy tones.
Just
Natural. Just eat dirt, you fucking idiots. Jesus.
I mean, if you want to be vegan, that's fine, but don't tell me what to eat.
That's right. Eat your plants. I'll eat animals. And you know what? I'll do the
Animal products.
Animal products. I'll do that. In fact, I'll go to their pastures and dig up all their grass, just to have that feeling of power. Because I think that's part of it too. It's you want to have power over these animals, because you're an evil person. Are you an evil person, Cammy Huddlestone?
No, I just really, well, it's debatable, but I just really like bacon.
I like bacon too. I have bacon on my pizza right now.
Yeah, bacon,
delicious.
chicken, beef.
Steak is fucking awesome.
Oh, I love steak.
Pork chops are awesome. I still haven't had filet mignon.
No, neither have I. How do you have steak, though? It's a very important question.
Have I had steak?
How do you have your steak?
Oh, usually medium rare if I can cook it.
Yes.
But I'm not great at cooking, so it usually comes out medium.
If I cook steak, it tends to go on the more the rare side than the medium.
Okay. I always I'm scared I'm gonna poison myself, because I've poisoned myself so many times while cooking because I'm terrible at it. And so I'm like, well, I better make sure it's cooked.
Oh my god.
Did I tell you I started watching Kitchen Nightmares in Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah.
And it got me super motivated to cook, yada yada yada. But as I was moving through it, I had to judge my cooking based on how sick I felt in the morning, and not based on how good it tasted, because it always tasted awesome because it's steak. But you reach a point where you're like, okay, well now I feel god awful. Maybe I should try that one again. I would either over season something, undercook something.
Maybe you're feeling awful because all you're eating steak.
Well, I did steak and nope, it was just steak.
Yeah.
But I did it once every 3 days.
I still don't think that's the sort of meal you're supposed to have. I mean, not that you're supposed to have any meal like that frequently, but I think if anyone ate steak every 3 days, they would feel a bit rough because of how rich it is.
That's true. That's fair. I've been doing burgers too. Those are killer. Burgers are badass.
Burgers are all great.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was now that I think about it, because I was just cooking steak for 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's not good. That's not good.
Well, there we go. We solved it.
Variety.
You gotta have variety. Our new brand of Press Start tea. Variety. 100 different flavors mixed into one.
Any of us drink tea?
I like green tea.
Don't call that iced tea. You drink tea. It's not tea.
I've got Arizona sweet tea.
If it comes in a can, it's not tea.
But wait, let's check the ingredients. Premium brewed blend of black tea using filtered water, high fructose corn syrup, citric acid, and natural flavors. That to me sounds like it's squeezed right out of the tea to nature. So I don't know about you. I'll do green tea every once in a while, but mostly it's just shit like that.
Right.
Yeah.
We probably. Oh, my hamster's out.
You know what that means? It's time to end the Tuesday show. Because hamsters breed death. And if you want to not die, you'll go home.
Oh. He's a sweetheart. Named after Jesse from Breaking Bad.
Aw. A silver-tongued devil. And a meth addict. Actually, he's not the silver-tongued devil.
Nor is he really a meth addict.
He's a crack addict.
It.
Well, yeah, but he's smoking it constantly. And spoilers for
Not at
Breaking
the
Bad.
end.
I don't want to spoil a Breaking Bad. You know what? Next time on the
It's
Tuesday
amazing.
show,
Fucking
this
love
is your
Breaking Bad.
warning. We're going to talk about Breaking Bad.
Yeah, I'm
So,
rewatching it at the minute.
oh, very good. I started rewatching it
Mm,
and then I fell asleep and all the episodes played while I was asleep
nice.
and it got burned to my brain and I had to stop.
Nice. Did you watch El Camino as well?
I did. And
Very good.
I'm all caught up on Better Call Saul.
I haven't watched Better Call Saul yet.
Better Call
I
Saul is
need to.
fucking awesome.
I've heard it's amazing. I think the reason we hadn't watched it is because it didn't have Jesse in it. I'll be
That's
honest.
fair. Yeah, Jesse's pretty great.
Love Jesse.
He's
So
a wonderful
funny.
man. And he's in BoJack. He's Todd. He's the
I've
best.
been watching so many BoJack videos. People like dissecting it and everything.
I'm really happy people are doing that. I've seen more and more popping up. And it's starting to make me think, if I'm going to do a video on it, I should probably think that through a lot. Because there's a lot of competition in that area. And try to find
Yeah.
a real nice way to stand out. But we'll keep you posted on that all. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Long live Elitch Gardens Resort in Denver, Colorado.